Welcome to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
Today we're digging into the Virginia governor's race. Got some fresh analysis.
Yeah, this is based on that CIPHER scoring model report. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Right, CIPHER. Now that started out in like brand communications, didn't it?
Exactly. Helping companies figure out if their message was, actually resonating.
And now they're using it for politics, trying to gauge impact there too.
Precisely. It goes deeper than just polls, looking at attention, how opinions shift, who's really connecting.
So our goal today is really to use this report, cut through some of the noise.
Yeah, find out what's really shifting in the race, according to this model, what matters.
And for you listening, this is about getting a handle on the campaign strategies and what this different kind of analysis tells us. Okay, so let's jump in. The big picture first. Spanberger's lead, still there.
Still there. Still there, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's tightened slightly, down from 5.5% to 5%.
Okay, 5%. So what's driving that? What's closing the gap a bit?
Well, one of the main things the report flags is a shift in Winsome's social media strategy.
Oh, how so?
It looks like. Well, they mentioned her Twitter army seems less active than sort of organic online push.
Less of the grassroots buzz, maybe?
Seems like it. Instead, they seem to be focusing more on, message testing?
Message testing.
Using attack-focused topics. Kind of pushing those out there to see what gets traction.
Okay. So more deliberate, maybe more controlled attacks?
Yeah, that seems to be the idea. And it looks like it's having some effect.
In what way?
Well, the report suggests it's been pretty successful at diverting attention, away from the Republican Party infighting stuff.
Right, that's been bubbling up. So a strategic distraction, almost.
Could be. And the data shows it's working on one level. Winsome's actually regained the lead in the attention metric.
Attention. So just getting talked about more. More buzz online.
Basically, yeah. The volume of discussion mentions her campaign is getting noticed more because of this shift.
Interesting. So maybe the Twitter army wasn't quite as organic as it looked, prompting this switch.
That's one way to read it, perhaps. Needing a more direct way to generate that attention.
Okay, but here's the twist, right? Winsome gets the attention, the lead narrows slightly, but Spanberger still holds a big advantage somewhere else. Conversion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the key finding, really.
Yeah.
While Winsome's getting more eyeballs, Spanberger is significantly better at turning interest into actual support.
Like donations.
Donations are the big one mentioned, yeah. Financial contributions, people taking that next step.
And there was something else about Spanberger's score. Her reputation.
Right. The report notes her reputation score within the CIPHER model has actually improved since the last time they looked.
Improved? Even with these attacks being tested?
Apparently so. It suggests the overall sentiment around her campaign is actually getting more positive, despite the negative focus from the opposition.
That kind of raises questions about just relying on attack ads, doesn't it?
It does. Does it build lasting support or just temporary noise?
So we have this picture. Winsome grabs headlines, maybe wins the moment.
Yeah.
But Spanberger converts that interest better, and people seem to be feeling, better about her overall.
That's the dynamic the report lays out. Very different strengths in how they're engaging voters right now.
And it speaks to Spanberger's base being pretty solid.
Absolutely. The report confirms their earlier hazard analysis, basically. Winsome's attacks haven't really dented Spanberger's reputation much.
No major negative impact.
Right, which means she's likely holding on to her loyal supporters. No significant churn, as they call it.
So her base isn't easily swayed by these attacks. Maybe the attacks aren't reaching everyone, or just aren't landing with her supporters.
Could be both. Resilience within the base, maybe limited reach, or effectiveness of the attacks beyond a certain point.
Okay, so stepping back. The core tension is Winsome winning attention versus Spanberger winning conversion and actually improving her reputation score.
That sums it up nicely.
So strategically, what does this mean going forward? What should Spanberger be focused on?
Well, for Spanberger, it seems pretty clear. Keep doing what works on conversion, maximize that efficiency.
Double down on turning interest into action.
Exactly. And build on that positive reputation momentum. The goal would be to use that strength to widen the overall CIPHER score gap again.
Makes sense. Leverage the positive trend. Now, for Winsome, what's the big hurdle?
It's that conversion gap.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Getting attention is step one, but she needs to translate it into real support much more effectively.
Like Spanberger is managing to do.
Right. And the report kind of hints that maybe that heavy focus on attacks isn't the best way to build that deeper engagement needed for conversion.
Yeah, the attacks get clicks, maybe, but not necessarily commitment, time or money.
That seems to be the implication. Like you said, grabs attention, but doesn't always resonate enough for action.
So, thinking tactics. What adjustments might we expect from Spanberger now?
Probably refining and maybe intensifying the things that drive conversion.
Yeah.
Using that better reputation score.
Right.
More targeted fundraising, maybe. Highlighting the positive momentum. More direct voter outreach, emphasizing that growing support.
Okay. And for Winsome, to try and close that conversion gap.
The analysis suggests she might need to broaden the strategy. Look beyond just the attacks.
How?
Maybe articulating her own vision more clearly, connecting on different issues, finding ways to build more of a community feel, to actually mobilize supporters.
So less focus on the opponent, perhaps more on her own platform and connecting with voters directly.
Potentially, yeah. Finding ways to make that attention stick and turn into active support.
You know, this whole discussion really shows the value of a model like CIPHER. It's not just who's up or down today.
Right. It gives you that deeper layer, those underlying dynamics.
And connecting it back to its origins and brand comms. How does that help us understand it politically?
Well, think about brands. They want awareness, right? That's attention. They want positive feelings, reputation. And ultimately, sales or loyalty conversion.
Okay, yeah.
CIPHER measures those things for brands. Attention, resonance, impact. In politics, the sale is a vote or a donation or volunteering.
So it's applying that same framework, what messages are cutting through, what's motivating people, what builds real support.
Exactly. Just like understanding consumer behavior helps a brand, understanding these dynamics helps us see which campaign messages and strategies are actually working.
That's a really clear way to put it. Now, if people want to learn more about CIPHER itself or see more data.
Sure. There's a press release out there with more background on the methodology.
Okay.
And we also have the full dashboard, which gets really granular. It's password protected, though.
Right. So how do people get access?
Just reply to the email you got about this deep dive and ask for access. We can sort that out.
Good to know. And you mentioned shorter updates, too.
Yeah, we're putting out little insight sound bites, key findings, quick analysis on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram.
Perfect. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Key takeaway.
I'd say the race is tightening, definitely more competitive. Winsome's strategy is grabbing attention, shifting the conversation. But Spanberger's core strength right now is converting interest into tangible support. And her reputation seems to be strengthening, which is crucial.
So the battleground is really that conversion piece, looking into doing.
That seems to be where the real contest is focused, according to this model. Who masters that conversion challenge most effectively?
Right. And just a final thought for everyone listening. We talked about attention versus conversion in this political race. But think about how that same dynamic plays out elsewhere. You know, launching a product, maybe growing a social cause, building a business following.
Yeah, it applies broadly.
What does it really take to build that lasting momentum, to get past just being noticed and actually achieve something meaningful, something to think about? Thanks for taking the deep dive with us.